The snow was falling like silent confetti over the city skyline, the kind of night when the world felt wrapped in a quiet, glittering loneliness. Through the glass windows of the top floor, a man stood motionless, Daniel Cross, the youngest billionaire CEO in the country, a man who had everything except the one thing he didn't know how to buy, someone to state that he had built an empire from nothing, conquered every boardroom, and silenced every doubt. Yet tonight, on Christmas Eve, he couldn't silence the echo of his own footsteps in that vast penthouse. Every light in the city below was alive with laughter and warmth, but his apartment remained untouched by joy, expensive, beautiful, and painfully empty. That's when he saw her, through the fogged glass of the lobby camera. A woman was standing at the entrance of his building, shivering in the cold, clutching a small box and looking like she didn't belong there. He frowned, wondering why security hadn't turned her away. Maybe it was the exhaustion, maybe it was the loneliness, but for some reason, he pressed the button to let her in, and that one decision changed everything. When she stepped into the warmth, Daniel realized she wasn't what he expected. Her clothes were simple, her hair slightly damp from the snow, and her eyes carried the kind of tired courage you only see in people who've learned to keep standing no matter how many times life knocks them down. "Sir," she said softly, holding up the box. I'm sorry for coming without an appointment. I know it's Christmas Eve, but I just needed to deliver this personally. My boss said it's for you. From the Orphanage Foundation." Daniel blinked. He remembered donating to that foundation last year, a tax write-off, nothing more. But the small box in her hands wasn't some corporate gift, it was wrapped in cheap paper, unevenly taped, with a little note written in a child's handwriting, "Merry Christmas, Mr. Cross. Thank you for helping us. From Lily, age 6. Something cracked inside him. He hadn't felt warmth in a long time, but that little note, that innocent scribble, did what money never could. He didn't want her to leave just yet. "Did you walk here?" he asked. She hesitated, embarrassed. "The buses stopped an hour ago. I was going to take the subway, but I guess I missed it." The city was buried under snow. No taxis, no trains, and outside, the world was ice and silence. He looked at her again, this stranger with frost on her hair and kindness in her eyes. "Stay," he said suddenly. "Just for tonight. Until the road's clear." Her eyes widened. "What?" "Just one night," Daniel repeated quietly. "I have plenty of space. And it's Christmas. No one should be alone on Christmas." She looked at him, really looked, and saw not the billionaire from the magazines, but a man who was tired of being unreachable. And for reasons she couldn't explain, she nodded. They ate together that night, take-out noodles in porcelain bowls, the faint sound of jazz playing from his phone. She told him her name was Emma, that she worked 2 jobs and volunteered at the orphanage where that little girl, Lily, lived. She didn't talk much about herself, but every time she smiled, something in Daniel's chest loosened. He told her about his company, about growing up in foster care, about how he thought success would heal the feeling of being unwanted. "But it hadn't." "You built walls," she said gently. "Not homes." Her words stung, not because they were cruel, but because they were true. When she laughed, it was the first time he realized how quiet his world had been. When she spoke, her voice softened the edges of the night. Somewhere between their stories, something began to thaw, the kind of warmth that no fireplace could give. As the clock neared midnight, she stood by the window, gazing at the city lights. "Merry Christmas, Mr. Cross." He didn't know why, but the sound of her saying that felt like a gift he'd been waiting his whole life to receive. The next morning, the city was bright and white, glistening with new snow. She thanked him for the shelter, gathered her things, and smiled like someone who'd only borrowed a piece of a dream. He walked her to the door. "Emma," he said quietly, what if you didn't have to go just yet?" She turned, eyes soft but steady. "You said one night." He swallowed hard. "I did." "Then keep it that way," she whispered. "So you remember it wasn't money or power that gave you peace. It was being seen." And then she was gone, a single figure disappearing into the white, leaving behind only a note on the table: "Thank you for letting me stay. Maybe next Christmas, don't wait for someone to knock. Go find them." A year later, the top floor of Cross Industries looked different. There were lights strung along the windows, a Christmas tree in the corner, and laughter echoing through the halls. Daniel had started a mentorship program for kids from the same foster homes he once lived in. He'd learned to show up, to connect, to give, to listen, and just as he finished helping a group of kids unwrap gifts, a familiar voice came from behind him, still waiting for people to knock. He turned, and there she was, smiling, holding another little box. "Can you stay for just one night?" he asked softly, echoing his own words from a year ago. She smiled wider. "Only if it's not the last." Outside, the snow fell again, but this time, he wasn't alone, because sometimes, one night is all it takes to change every night after.